Alhamdulillahi nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi. Wa na'udzu billahi min sururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. May yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa may yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam tabaraka wa sallama tasliman kasira amma ba'd. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Aman ahsanu qawlan mimman da'a ila Allah wa amila salihan wa qala innani minal muslimin. My dear brothers and respected elders and sisters, we know many things and we can talk on many things, and at times we think that we know so many things. But even though we know many things, particularly about Islam, but it doesn't mean that we are able to obey all the orders of Allah which Allah has mentioned in the Quran. We hardly can obey any, but we know so many things. So knowing and doing are something very different. People may know, but they don't have the belief on the thing which they know. So when they only know and they don't have the belief on the thing which they know, they will not be able to do it. That's why you find many people are not able to obey the orders of Allah or to practice the order of Allah. They only know how to talk. They know how to lecture. And many people tend to believe that once they know how to talk, they are also able to do what they've been talking about. That is not true and absolutely false. Knowing and doing are something very different. You may know, but you may not be able to do. And these are the problems which has encompassed the whole community of the so-called Muslim in the entire world. We built many madrasa, we built many schools, particularly, schools which are related to Islam. And when we built universities, and yet we cannot find many people among the so-called Muslim communities in the whole world practicing all that what they know, what they have learned from the madrasa and from the universities. So people keep on wondering and they keep on doing the same thing again and again, which is to build more colleges, universities, madrasa, Islamic schools all over the world. The numbers of schools, madrasa keep on increasing. There were times when there were not many madrasa. That time was the worst among all the times. Even there is no madrasa, there is no one is interested, willing to learn about Islam. But then now, the time have changed. We find there are many people are interested to learn, with the belief that if I know, then I will be able to practice what I know. And so they are mushrooming, madrasa on tafsir of Quran and Islamic teaching, madrasa teaching on Islamic laws, so they can become the so-called ulama or scholars of Islam. They build all these things with the belief that when we have knowledge about Islam, we will be able to obey. This is something they don't know, that it is not true. But the effort of making so many schools and madrasas continue to flourish year after year, and people sending their sons, daughters to these colleges with the hope that they will become good Muslim. Obedience. So these are the modus operandi of all the so-called nowadays so-called Muslims. You know, this is their endeavors, their effort, their struggle in upholding Islam, but it doesn't give the results. It doesn't give the results that we have wanted it to give to us. The result is the same as when they were not very interested to learn about Islam, and when they are interested to learn about Islam, they are still not practicing Islam. You know, they say the new Muslims are better. They are practicing Islam more than the so-called Muslim who are born Muslim. These are the general impression. Why the new Muslims are practicing Islam better than the so-called inherited Islam? They never want to find the reason as to why this has happened as such. So the so-called Muslim nowadays so-called Muslim, as compared before the emergence of the work of Jamaat Tabligh, they are having clothes and appearance, outward appearance of a Muslim, not practicing Muslim in this real sense of the word. Practicing Muslim, practicing with sincerity, with souls in their actions. They are mere action without souls. When we say action without soul, action without sincerity, we don't know whether a person is sincere or not. But anything that which we are doing are not sincere, there will be no results. There's no results in the way Allah is dealing with us. We still have calamities. We still have many calamities befallen upon us, even though there is work of Jamaat Tabligh. Isn't it so? Even though many Muslims having beards, wearing jubah, much more than used it to be in the 60s. Of course, during that time, there are also many calamities as compared as today. We have World War I, World War II. We have Japanese occupation. So many miseries. We have communist insurgents. That's only in our country, but in all over the world, there are many calamities. It come as the beads falling down from the thread, one after the other. You just see our neighboring country, our neighboring country, Indonesia. Yeah, a few years back, I think, not long ago, one after another, calamities come to them. But there is some work of Jamaat Tabligh in India, in all over the world, in Pakistan. So that's the proof that our action are not having souls. We lack sincerity. We only wearing beards, having beards, wearing clothes, going to pray, having ijtima without souls. It means when we are doing action without souls, it doesn't bring the attention of Allah towards us. Allah is not looking at us. That's why when Allah is not looking at us, then Allah's help is not with us. What will be with us? Calamities. And what's the reason? Because we do not have the actions which are having souls. Why we do not have the actions which are having souls? Because we do not fulfill the right of reciting the great kalima. So in the meaning of hadith, Rasulullah said, everyone who have recited the great kalima will have two things, happiness and freedom from calamities. But we have many calamities. This is we must see earthquake everywhere. We have flood recently, and we have hurricanes, Taman. Taman is what? Hurricanes. Why we are not free from miseries? Why we have sadness and unhappiness? Because we do not fulfill. We are the people who recited the great kalima, La ilaha illallah, and yet we have many calamities. And therefore, we don't have happiness. But the promise of Allah is, once we recite the kalima, we will be given two things: happiness and free from calamities. But we are not happy, and we have calamities. I'm sure those who are which flood has infected their area are not happy. You think they are happy? They were not happy. That is only the outside calamities that we are able to see. But what about our internal calamities? Having no restlessness, having anxiety. We live in constant fear, and these are all calamities too. So now, at the same time, we have many madrasah, particularly in Malaysia now, many madrasah teaching Hafiz, memorizing the Quran. There are many madrasah teaching Islam. Many parents sending their children to these schools, and all the tariqah changing towards Islam. So many Islam going on, but it remains a knowledge. But it's not able to become a practice which is accepted by Allah. So these are the conditions of nowadays so-called Muslim in all over the world. We are moving, but we do not know towards which direction we are moving. Are we just producing people who are outwardly having the appearance of a Muslim, or a Muslim who are outwardly as well internally? It seems as if we are only having many Muslims with the outward appearance of a Muslim, able to talk about Islam, and yet devoid of practicing the orders of Allah which Allah has mentioned in the Quran. First of all, until today, we do not read the Quran with understanding. We don't know even the meaning. Some and most so-called Muslims are not reading the Quran. Those who are reading the Quran are only reading in Arabic. They didn't even read the interpretation, the correct interpretation of the reading of the Quran. Even though prior to this we have people like Ibn Kathir, in 1400 writing about the interpretation of the Quran, and yet I come to know now, not before, that all the interpretation which he has made is not true. For that reason why the book was not very popular, not well read by many Muslims and many non-Muslims, because many of the interpretations are not true, false. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do not make it to be a book which is well read by many. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me the understanding of the Quran, the meaning of the Quran, and has given me the tawfiq to interpret it correctly to His desire. Why only now that I was able to understand the Quran, not before? I was not new in the work of dawah. I started the work of dawah at the early age of 21. Before that also, since childhood. But yet, I was not given the understanding of the Quran only until lately. I've been reading Quran and the Arabic one, and I also was reading the interpretation of the Quran. That not the interpretation, the terjemahan or the interpretation of the Quran, the meaning of the Quran, not the tafseer, not the interpretation. It's called I'm reading the translation, translation of the Quran in English and in Malay. I hardly understand also, but a little bit, to a certain extent, I can understand by reading the translation, and I did not read any interpretation of the Quran, Ibn Qasir or Jalan. So only when, my iman, when I've started to do the work as Prophet ﷺ was doing. In other words, when I'm doing, I'm seeing the non-Muslim, the non-believer as well as the believer. The non-believer, I invited them to recite the great kalima. The believer, I remind them about the meaning of the great kalima, and then inviting them to do the work of inviting people to good, forbidding people from evil, with the sacrifice of their life and time and wealth. Then only, my iman increases and increases. How do I know? Allah has given me the device upon which I'll be able to ask Allah. Many people did not believe that this is karama, but it is. I know it is a karama. It's not devil works. Some people accuse me of having the belief in shaitan. It is a work of shaitan, so they run away and leave me to only very few people who are still not sure either to leave me or not. So they stay until today. But they are not really believing in the device too. They are more of the people who have no, either way, there is no point of leaving Prof Nasoha, so let me stay with him. They don't really believe. The proof that they don't really believe, they don't really obey my orders. Like Rashidi, he is forced to be with me. He's forced due to worldly things. Samad do not want to really be with me. He want to stay in Malacca. So these are the people who are so-called hypocrites, not really sincere. But these are the people whom Allah has given to me, but I didn't bother. You want to run away, you are allowed to do so. You want to remain, you also allowed to do so. I don't worry about it. What I was worried more is either Allah love me or Allah do not love me. That is all that matters. Even if Allah do not love all of them, it's okay. It doesn't harm me. But I'm only worried about either Allah love me or Allah does not love. So when I find out that Allah continue loving me and showing me the guidance, then only people like Allah give later on people like Pendi to come, from his place, and Azri from place joining me. Some are leaving, some are coming. These people also, they don't really know whether this is what I'm doing is true or not. They simply want to try, if in case this will work. Because Pendi, when he joined, at that time he looks like, his face was look like the back of the monkey, without beards. Face without nur or light, was more look like a kafir. Same as also Azri. The face look like the face of a kafir. But now their face are a little bit lighted. Are you not thankful to Allah? Are you not thankful to me? Are you not thankful to me? So if you are really thankful, you grateful, you should obey. If you are not thankful, then you don't obey. That is a science. Either you are thankful or not thankful. Is either you obey or disobey. So now only the Quran is fully interpreted into 84 books in English, and each book is about 300 to 350 or 250 pages. So I experience it myself. I don't talk simply out of my knowledge only. It is, I talk and I practice and I experience it. My journey towards knowing Allah. Other people are talking, they are not experiencing it. So as a result, they don't really able to talk with their hearts and their soul. My journey of trying to become the lover of Allah have gone so many years. From the beginning, I was only doing dawah on my own. Then I joined the work of Jamaat Tabligh. Then I leave and do the work which I believe to be true. That we must see everyone, non-Muslim or Muslim, and we must go to do the work the way Muhammad Sallam. We must go to their house, see them, talk to them, every house, in my locality as well as in the country. So that journey of mine, it's a long journey with many hurdles and surely many tests of Allah. And with the grace of Allah, I'm able to pass all the tests which are given to me, as Allah has given to Ibrahim a.s. Ibrahim a.s. is also his journey towards become the lover of Allah, and he succeeded in his journey. And through that journey has been given many tests. Similarly also to me. In the journey I've been given many tests. I don't have to tell you, but the tests are varied and numerous. And with the permission of Allah, Allah with His grace has made me to be able to pass all the tests until today. Understand? When Allah made people to leave me in hundreds, when Allah made people to curse me, when Allah made people to take away, my post as a shura, as a leader, one of the leader in Jamaat Tabligh. When Allah tests me by people making, that I'm similar to the fallen star. I'm not allowed to give lecture or bayan any longer. Everyone is deserting me. These are very great tests. People make so many fitna on me, which are not true, and unable to validate the fitna which they have done until today. So all these tests, I have passed it with the permission of Allah, in a gracious manner. You know, Samad was tested too, but his test is not as severe as my test. And you too. And yet they don't have many tests, and yet they want very high iman. So my dear brothers, no one will be able to attain a highest level of iman unless they are tested and they pass the test. Like all the prophets of Allah, particularly Prophet Ibrahim. Among all the prophets of Allah, the one mostly very tested highly is Ibrahim alayhi salam. There's no one among the prophets who have been tested by Allah to slaughter his son, but that test is given to him. Being thrown into the fire alive, that test is given to him. So among all the prophets of Allah, the highest level of iman is not Muhammad, is Prophet Ibrahim. That's why in Tahiyat we are made to make dua for our Prophet, to bless him as Allah has blessed Ibrahim, to shower mercy to him as Allah has showered the mercy to Ibrahim. So among all the prophets of Allah, the most tested prophet of Allah is Prophet Ibrahim. And then, but the Prophet Muhammad SAW is the first one to enter paradise, even though his iman is lower than Prophet Ibrahim. The reason as to why he was made to enter paradise the first, because he also has the reward of the good deeds of his followers, which is me. So the deeds of my good deeds of his followers, which is me, and his good deeds surely will surpass all the good deeds of all the other previous prophets of Allah. For that very reason, he is the first one to enter paradise. I am to follow behind him, and then only Prophet Ibrahim. So my dear brothers, I am telling you now, we are only knowing about Islam. We are not practicing. And if we practice it, we don't practice it correctly. For that reason, we are not in the radar of Allah. We are not within the radar, within the Allah's attention. We are not in the radar of Allah's attention. Allah did not give any attention to us at all, because either we don't practice or we practice wrongly. So we are out of the radar of Allah. In order to be in His radar, to be accepted, our action has to be accepted. We must know, we must obey, and we must obey correctly. What it means, obey correctly? In the way Muhammad SAW, with the intention to please Allah. If we are not able to do that we are not within His radar of mercy and grace. And this is why we know, but we don't practice. Why? We don't have iman. The reason as why we know and we don't practice, because we don't have the iman, the faith towards Allah, to that level which make us to understand the Quran and to obey the Quran. Now we know, but we don't have iman, we don't have taqwa. We read Quran, but we cannot understand it. Neither we can understand it, nor we can practice it. So we are outside the radar. Because why our iman is not that strong, that make us able to understand, to practice, to obey the orders of Allah which Allah mentioned, is simply because we have neglected the most important order of Allah, which no one of nowadays Muslims tend to understand. Which one? This is the greatest fault and the greatest tragedy which has befallen upon the entire Muslim community is not able to know which is the first order of Allah, which the so-called nowadays so-called Muslims have committed. They have recited the great kalima, and yet they're still not within the radar of Allah's mercy and blessing, because their actions are not accepted. Their actions are without soul. They only know about Islam, they learn about Islam, but they don't have the faith towards Allah, which I have with the permission of Allah. And the action which I was able to do, which differed from all the rest of the so-called Muslim in the whole world, is that daily, I go from house to house, person to person, Muslim or not Muslim, and and invite them to Allah. For the non-Muslim, the Muslim invite them to obey the orders of Allah, which is the first order of Allah, to do the work of inviting people to good, forbidding people. These are the actions which none in the entire mankind, the whole world of today, are willing or are doing, except me. And the rest who follow me, they are not really doing. They are simply, doing not the way it should be, because they're simply not sure. They're just simply having chance. Either I'm correct or not, doesn't matter, I just follow. Hopefully it is correct, that's all. Like this guy. So none is able to attain a very strong level of iman except me. So I'm in the position to be able to tell the whole world as to how to make this ummah of Muhammad SAW to be uplifted and upgraded to the highest level of iman. And when they have been upgraded to the highest level of iman, then only they will turn towards Quran. What it means by turn to Quran? Then only they are able to read, to understand, and to obey the Quran. So when they are able to obey the Quran correctly, then they are within the radar of Allah, of mercy and blessing. Then they will have the blessing. Truly, you will not see any Muslim to be in horror and sadness, in mental illness, no more. You will not see any calamities befallen the Muslim anymore. And this is the science that we have achieved. The very purpose as to why Allah has made us to become the lover of Allah. But everything need a proof. If we are saying, oh yes, Muslim are now better, or Muslim of yesterday was better than today, what's the proof? The proof is, are we happy and are we free from calamities? No. In the early 1900s, the whole Ottoman Empire crashed to ashes. Saudi Arabia, the sovereign master of the two cities, holy cities, Medina and Mecca, was given to a fraud, the Saud family. They are not religious family. They are the Bedouin. They are actually Jews who have become Muslim. The Saud family until today. And then the traitor that King Hussein bin Ali, from the progeny of Rasulullah, was given Jordan, the barren land. The end results of their treacherous actions of the Muslim. We have been given calamities. Our two holy cities are not given to the pious people from among us, given to the irreligious who are willing to combine and who are willing to be with the British to make the Ottoman Empire the last Muslim empire, the only empire, not the last, to crash to ashes. Then the Turks, Allah has given them Ataturk, Kamal Ataturk, the worst and the devils. The Arabs in Saudi given to the south, and the Turks, they are doing more evils than any Muslim in the whole world. So they are punished with Kamal Ataturk so severely. Until today, you cannot see even the glimpse of the true Islam in Turkey. It turns to become a secular state. You know what a secular state? Without any religion. You can adopt any religion, what you like. This is Turkey now. You can't even wear clothes. You're going to cover the ladies are not even to cover their hair. And many things was prohibited in Turkey in the time of Kamal Ataturk, and it lasted until today, basically. So that is azab, that is calamities. And you saying they are better than we are today? Even at the time when Allah made, the Tatars to crush Muslim empire, making Baghdad, to turn into rivers of blood. He said, I will never stop massacring the Muslim until the blood comes to my throat. Their blood. Is this a sign that the older people, scholars of Islam, are better? No. Although they have, libraries full of books, many people of so-called knowledge, but calamities come to them. Worse calamities. Allah makes the Tatars, the idols, worshippers, to rule over them. What a miseries. So all the while, since Prophet Muhammad SAW, Muslim has been made to suffer from many calamities. The first calamities after the death is the death of Hazrat Osman. Hazrat Osman was killed not by the non-Muslim, by the so-called Muslim themselves. 10,000 people at that time is a very great number, surrounded his house for 1 month. They want to do nothing else but to kill him. See how calamities has befallen upon us. You don't say that is a mercy when Hazrat Ali was killed, his son Hassan and Hussein was killed. Is then that calamities, or you think it's mercy? Naturally it's calamities. So what is the proof to say they are better? We are better than anything when we are able to live in a time when there is no calamities, but mercy and blessing from Allah. And what is the signs of mercy and blessing of Allah has fallen upon this ummah? Is when peoples are coming to the religion of Islam in thousands and millions. When is the time after Rasulullah that we can see that people embracing Islam in millions, thousands, daily? No. Ever since the death of Rasulullah, there's no mercy who has fallen upon the Muslim, except calamities. Only calamities after calamities after calamities. And what is the pride that we have? Some people are so stupid, are saying that the most glorious days of the Islam is Abbasid dynasty, Abbasiya, where there is the pinnacles of knowledge in science. So we should follow that dynasty, that period. Who's that fellow who is saying that the glorious period of Islam is Abbasi dynasty? Who? None other than Ahmad Badawi, our so-called Prime Minister, who is saying that we must try to make Islam Hadari, the best Islam. What a fools. Then we have Najib, We have Mahathir with the slogan Developed Country 2020. I have a relative of mine, a doctor, he was telling, I was wondering what will happen in 2020. So 2020 has passed. Now 2021. So when 2020 comes, he said, oh, I was wondering what will happen. What happened? 2020 is a year where people have to remain at homes, doing nothing. Yeah? What's it called? Lockdown. That's all 2020 of Mahathir. Lockdown. Then come Najib with one Malaysia. You know? And with all the tax, one MDB, GST, all these calamities, my dear. As we have calamities of flood, these are also calamities. The reigns of Najib, Abdullah Badawi, Islamic Hadari, Najib, satu Malaysia, one MDB. Then we came back to Mahathir, and then Muhyiddin, and then now Ismail Sabri. All calamities. So that means we are not within the radar. Not even in Malaysia, not even in the whole world of the Muslim, in the whole entire Muslim world, except calamities. They are not within the radar of Allah, of mercy and blessing, which has been promised. Whoever have recited the kalimah, they will be given two benefits. You know, they will not be sad, and they will be free from calamities. There will be no sickness. So the reason as to why we are not within the radar of mercy and blessing Allah, because we do not fulfill the rights of reciting the kalimah. What is the right of reciting the kalimah? Rasulullah said, we do not forbid evils. And how to forbid evils? We have to invite people to good deeds, in the way Muhammad SAW, with the sacrifice of wealth and time, with the intention to please Allah. Until Allah is pleased with us, then we are within the radar. And the whole Muslim and the whole world will be full of blessing. There will be no unhappiness, there will be no calamities. Until and unless we reach to that situation, then we are not within the radar of the blessing and the mercy of Allah.